Now, here's today's host. Here's the Money Man. Here's Dan Frischberg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Money Man Report. I'm Dan Frischberg. She is the beautiful Elisea.
I'm Elisea Frischberg.
Who is the producer of everything we've ever done, which means 30 years of radio shows, all the television we've done, all of it has always been produced by Elisea.
And we are so happy that you arrange your breakfast, your dinner, your lunch with our content, hoping to learn more, and we keep doing it.
And by the way, Elisea is the one who manages assets, right? I'm retired, and I love to do these programs, and I write books, and I do research that a lot of hedge funds and money managers take my research. Elisea is the leading one who does it better than anybody, and so she is actually a registered investment advisor.
And welcome, folks. Now, Daniel, how come everybody is so angry and they're on the street?
Yeah, let's talk about, and by the way, folks, if you didn't see the last podcast, I want you to stop this now and go back and watch the previous one. If you just came to us and you just learned about this and you're watching this podcast, welcome. I love it that you're here, and we want you to stay with us forever and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all that stuff. But stop it now and go back and watch the last podcast, and then come back and watch this, because you're going to have a lot of background on what we're talking about. But you just asked me why so much discontent. Rich people are having a wonderful time, and it's not fair to us, and we're in this very unfair economy. Now think about how that happened. I didn't think of this when I wrote the book about investing without borders, and it was so efficient, and we could get so many things in Asia where it was cheap, and have it made in Mexico where it was cheap, and do all that stuff. What happened to the people who were working in the factories and assembling everything here? What happened to the people who were doing the labor when we suddenly replaced them with cheap labor abroad, and everything became efficient, and I was able to buy everything? That was terrific, right? I was able to get an iPhone, and I was able to get this and that and all these great equipment. They were all assembled inexpensively by people who are making $15 a week. But what about the people who used to be doing all of that work? What about the people that were assembling everything, that were working in manufacturing everywhere, that were making the clothes, working in the factory to make the fabrics, putting together the silk, making all? What happened to them? As I was able to get all that stuff cheap, I didn't realize that from their point of view, this was horrible, because in this new world order, their labor was worth way less. They got replaced, and even if they had a job, they didn't increase in value like the value of my company did, or the value of even the company that was making the sweaters, and the companies that were making the sweatsuits that we were doing, and all those are wonderful. We're buying $100 sweatsuits, but the people that are making them are not. They're either in another country or they're in this country, and their salary hasn't gone up in years. They're going up just a pittance, right? That happened because of that globalization. And so what happened is our country stopped being a great place to go to work in a factory and work your way up. A lot of people weren't able to do that anymore. So they were angry. This economy didn't support them. It was great for the entrepreneur who could go and move his thing and get it assembled abroad and do all that. And it was even good for him because he could hire Americans, and their pay hadn't gone up hardly at all over the last 10 years. And he's making double, triple because he owns the company, and he's making huge profit margins.
So the child watching that lives, or their parents who are stuck and didn't grow, even though the world and United States grew tremendously, and they were stuck in that bottom and now they're angry.
Now my mission that we've been working on for the last couple of years has been this. Those people need to learn. Nobody taught them what capitalism is. Nobody taught them about the unbelievable opportunity of being born in America, where you can go as far as you want. The more people you help get what they want, not by sewing sweaters together, but by helping people really get what they want, right? The more you do that, the more money you make. What nobody taught the people that are so unhappy is that there is a connection between what you contribute to making people really have a better life and how much your rewards are.
Is that, Daniel, a big
Entrepreneurship.
jump for people?
It's a
Do they
big
have
jump
to fix
mentally.
their mind?
That's right. And that's what my mission is, to wake people up and say nothing is stopping you from doing that. But you know what? We find there's a lot of resistance because people don't believe they can have that, don't believe they can do it. They're stuck. My job is to help them get unstuck, help them understand how the economy is organized. And you understand that I don't make sweaters and go and get them abroad. You know what I do? I find the company that's really doing that. Now, sweaters, too many people are making sweaters. But I find the company like Microsoft or Google, or I find the company that's making fertilizer and has to source it all in the United States, and it takes enormous infrastructure to do that, and nobody else can do it. I don't have to go work there. I buy into that company. And I use enormous leverage, exactly like what Warren Buffett does, exactly like what George Soros does, what Bill Gates does. Nobody's ever teaching regular people, Americans, how to do that. Now, I built a asset management company over the last over 30 years. I retired back in 2010. But we had built it up to $1 billion under management. But we couldn't afford to manage assets for somebody who was making $50,000 a year or something. We had to have somebody that was wealthy enough to be able to pay us. There was insurance and expense and research and all of that stuff. We couldn't just do it for everybody.
You needed their parents.
Well, I was focused on the people that had the money that were able to pay us. And it wasn't even crossing my mind about the people that were getting left behind. I didn't realize anybody was getting left behind because I thought they can just learn it and do it for themselves and get themselves up to that point. The problem was no one was teaching them about the fact that the sky is the limit here and that you can actually find a way to do it, use your ingenuity, and you can just grow and get bigger and bigger and nobody stops you. And the bigger you get, the more you make. I don't have to make fertilizer. I can buy the upside in a fertilizer company.
And when you were teaching the wealthy people, because that's were the people who could afford your service,
well, I was doing it for them, and you're doing it for them now.
And
but
automatically what we tell them is to be in a place wherein you will acquire a lot of money. First thing you have to do in your mind is that you have to get a lot of people working for you. So what would be the avenue? It's not only about creating a business, having hundreds of employees. Think of Google.
Yeah, you think of doing that, and you have to build them one at a time, and you say, oh my God, what a big job. I can buy shares in Google.
Yeah.
They already have thousands and thousands of people working for them, and if I can get a leveraged position in that, like Bill Gates does or George Soros, I have all those thousands of people working for me now.
Some people don't really.
Only now my mission is to teach regular people how to do this. People that make $50,000 or $100,000 a year who feel stuck. I'm teaching them how to do this.
To get unstuck.
Yes, and the bottom line is you don't have to be a millionaire to afford me. And I even have a scholarship for people, if you're really broke, if you're a veteran and you don't know what to do with yourself, instead of going on the street corner and begging, I'm there to teach you. There's a scholarship for you. I can teach you. Regular people, you make 50, 100,000 a year, you pay a little tuition, and it will change your life. And my warranty, by the way, on the courses are that if at the end of a year or 2 years, if at the end of that time you've done what I taught you to do and you haven't made back double what you paid for tuition, I'll refund your money for you. That's a standing warranty for everybody. You follow what I teach you, and at the end of a year, let's say at the end of 2 years, and you haven't doubled the money that you paid for tuition, and it's going to be much more than that, you get a complete refund, and you still know how to do it, and it's still going to make you rich.
Hi, my name is Phil Herrick. I'm a business solution strategist. My son and myself have been working with Dan for about 4 months now. Been through his training program and have gotten some very good information out of that. It's been great working with Dan and Elisea because of the number of years of knowledge there. So they're capable of answering any questions I have in a very confident and thorough manner. I believe the strategies that Dan has are great strategies that I wish I had known about decades ago. The strategies themselves would be complicated to figure out on my own, but with Dan's guidance and his ability to answer my questions and his knowledge of it, it's become very straightforward to me. There's easy to implement ways to go about it. As a matter of fact, my 20-year-old son who's in the Navy went through the training with me as well. Dan's able to explain it at a level that my son was able to understand as well, and understanding why we would pick certain stocks and what the strategies are with these leveraged strategies. So I think Dan would have the ability to explain this to anybody of any level of investment experience.